First contact deception. The quantum sensors beneath Europa's icy surface detected them first. 3 Varaxian scout ships dropping out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. Director Sarah Chen stood in Earth's Central Defense Command, watching the holographic display as the alien vessels began their systematic survey of the outer planets. "Right on schedule," she murmured, dark eyes reflecting the soft blue glow of the tactical screens. The Varaxian Empire's expansion had been predictable, methodical conquest after conquest, always following the same pattern. Earth had watched for decades as they absorbed civilization after civilization into their empire. But Earth was different. For the past century, humanity had maintained a carefully crafted illusion of technological mediocrity. Their true capabilities remained hidden beneath a veneer of primitive satellites and outdated space stations. The quantum tech that powered their civilization, the dimensional engineering that defied physics itself, all of it concealed behind a mask of apparent backwardness. "Status of Operation Looking Glass," Chen asked, turning to her Chief of Operations, Commander James Rodriguez. "Perfect, Director. Our surface installations are broadcasting exactly the right energy signatures. To their sensors, we look like we're barely into the atomic age. Their scans show exactly what we want them to see: inefficient power generation, crude rocket technology, and absolutely no signs of quantum manipulation." Chen nodded, satisfaction evident in her slight smile. The Varaxians were known for their arrogance, their absolute certainty, and their technological superiority. It made them predictable. Earth had spent decades studying their conquest patterns, their military doctrine, their technological capabilities. Knowledge was power, and humanity had gathered it patiently, methodically, while appearing too primitive to be worth conquering. Deep beneath the Mariana Trench, the quantum computing arrays processed the steady stream of data from the scout ships. Every scan they made was analyzed, every transmission intercepted and decoded. The Varaxians thought they were gathering intelligence on Earth. In reality, Earth was gathering intelligence on them. "They're launching probes toward Mars," Rodriguez reported. "Standard Imperial survey pattern." "Let them come," Chen replied. "Our quantum shrouds are holding perfectly. They'll see exactly what we want them to see. A few primitive research stations, nothing more." The truth was far different. Mars housed humanity's primary military manufacturing facilities, vast complexes hidden in dimensional pockets that were completely invisible to conventional sensors. The red planet's apparent barrenness was another carefully maintained deception. "Director," called Dr. Amara Patel from her station at the quantum analysis console. "I finished processing their latest communications burst. They're reporting back to their command. Would you like to hear the translation?" Chen nodded, and Patel played the decoded transmission. "Scout Group Delta to Imperial Command. Planet designation Sol 3 shows signs of early industrial civilization. No significant space presence detected. Minimal defensive capabilities observed. Recommend classification as Tier 7 conquest target, suitable for standard pacification protocols." A quiet chuckle rippled through the command center. The Varaxians had no idea they were walking into a trap that had been centuries in the making. Humanity had learned long ago that the galaxy was a dangerous place. Rather than announce their presence, they had chosen patience, choosing to perfect their technology in secret while appearing weak and primitive. "Send word to all facilities," Chen ordered. "Begin final preparation sequences, but maintain emission controls. Let's not spoil the surprise just yet." She turned to face the massive viewing screen showing the scout ships continuing their methodical survey. The Varaxians think they're following their standard conquest protocol. They don't realize they're about to become part of humanity's first contact protocol instead. Around the solar system, hidden quantum arrays hummed to life. Dimensional engines powered up, and weapon systems emerged from their pocket universes, all invisible to the Varaxians' most advanced sensors. Earth had spent generations preparing for this moment, and now the trap was almost ready to spring. "How long until they report back to their fleet?" Chen asked. Based on their standard procedures, they'll complete their survey in approximately 72 hours. Rodriguez answered, "Fleet assembly and deployment typically follows within 2 weeks." "Perfect." Chen smiled. "That gives us plenty of time to fine-tune our welcome reception. Let's make sure everything is perfect for our guests. After all, first impressions matter." As the scout ships continued their survey, blissfully unaware of the true situation, humanity's hidden war machine quietly prepared for the coming confrontation. The Varaxian Empire was about to learn a harsh lesson about judging by appearances, and the galaxy was about to witness the unveiling of humanity's true power. The Silent Watchers. The Varaxian Imperial Command Center blazed with activity as Admiral Kextar reviewed the scout reports from the Sol system. His scaled fingers traced the holographic representation of Earth, this seemingly insignificant planet that would soon become the Empire's newest conquest. "Such a waste of resources," he muttered, mandibles clicking in annoyance. "They barely have orbital capabilities. Their energy production is inefficient, their weapons primitive. Why are we even bothering with this backwater?" Fleet Commander Zareth, his second-in-command, stepped forward. "The Emperor insists, sir. Their system contains substantial rare mineral deposits, and—" She hesitated. "There's something else. Our deep analysis teams found some anomalies in the scout data." "Anomalies?" Kextar's head crest flared with interest. "Their power consumption doesn't quite match their technological level. It's as if—" She searched for the right words. "As if they're being inefficient on purpose." Kextar dismissed the concern with a wave. "Primitive species often develop unevenly. Prepare the conquest fleet. Standard protocol. 300 ships should be more than sufficient for a civilization at this level." Back on Earth, in a facility deep beneath the Antarctic ice, Director Chen watched this entire conversation through quantum surveillance systems that the Varaxians couldn't even theoretically detect. The translation matrix converted their clicks and whistles into smooth English, while advanced AI systems analyzed every nuance of their body language and vocal patterns. They noticed the power discrepancy, Commander Rodriguez noted, standing beside her. "Should we adjust our emissions?" Chen shook her head. "No. Let them wonder. It adds to the illusion, making them think they're clever for spotting something suspicious, while missing the true scope of our deception." The massive quantum computing array that filled the chamber's walls processed data from thousands of surveillance points throughout Varaxian space. Earth had spent decades seeding their territory with undetectable quantum sensors, building a complete picture of their military capabilities, their technological limitations, and most importantly, their weaknesses. "Status report on defense grid theta," Chen asked. Dr. Petal consulted her displays. "All dimensional pocket generators are at full capacity. We can transition their entire fleet into contained space at your command. The quantum disruptors are primed, and our gravity manipulation systems are operating at optimal efficiency." In orbit around Jupiter, massive facilities hidden in folded space manufactured the final components of humanity's defensive systems. To any observer, even one right next to them, they would appear to be nothing but empty space. The dimensional engineering that made this possible was so far beyond the Varaxians' understanding that they wouldn't even recognize it as technology. "Message from Luna Base," Rodriguez announced. "The last of the civilian population has been successfully relocated to the shelter dimensions. All surface cities are now running on autopilot with holographic populations." This was perhaps humanity's greatest achievement, the ability to create and maintain entire pocket universes, safe spaces where their population could continue normal life, while their solar system appeared vulnerable and primitive to outside observers. "Director," called out Lieutenant Sarah Wong from her monitoring station. "The Varaxian fleet is mobilizing. 300 ships, just as predicted. Their course calculations indicate arrival in approximately 10 standard days." Chen nodded, unsurprised. The Varaxians were nothing if not predictable. Their military doctrine hadn't changed in centuries. Why should it? They'd never encountered a serious challenge to their superiority. "Begin final defense preparations," she ordered. "But remember, subtle movements only. No quantum signatures above baseline. Let them come thinking they're the hunters." Throughout the solar system, humanity's true technological marvels lay waiting. Quantum fields that could redirect energy weapons into pocket dimensions, gravity manipulators that could tear ships apart at the atomic level, dimensional gates that could instantly transport Earth's own ships anywhere in the system. Director, Dr. Petal spoke up, her voice carrying a note of concern. "The Varaxian fleet, it's bigger than we anticipated. They're bringing some of their new capital ships, the ones with experimental weapons technology." Chen smiled. "Perfect. More opportunities to analyze their capabilities. Prepare the quantum recorders. We'll want detailed scans of everything they throw at us." The coming battle would serve multiple purposes. Yes, it would demonstrate to the Varaxians that humanity was not to be trifled with. But more importantly, it would give Earth scientists invaluable data about Varaxian technology in actual combat conditions. All stations, maintain current operations. Chen broadcast to Earth's hidden facilities across the solar system. "Remember, we've prepared for this moment for generations. The Varaxians think they're following their standard conquest protocols. In reality, they're following our carefully laid path, step by step." As the Varaxian fleet began its journey toward Earth, humanity's hidden watchers monitored every move, analyzed every communication, and prepared for the moment when they would finally reveal their true power. The trap was set, and the hunters were about to become the hunted. Pride before the fall. The Varaxian fleet erupted from hyperspace at the edge of the Kuiper Belt, 300 warships strong. Their massive forms blotted out the distant stars, hull plating gleaming with the cold light of distant Sol. Admiral Kextar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Imperial Might, his chest swelling with pride at the display of force. "Begin standard conquest formation," he ordered, his voice carrying the bored confidence of someone who had done this countless times before. "Launch scout drones to verify our initial survey data." As the fleet began its methodical advance toward Earth, deep beneath the Himalayan mountains, Director Chen and her team watched through their quantum observation network. Every ship was tagged, every weapon system analyzed, every communication intercepted. "They're deploying their new stellar crusher weapons," Dr. Petal reported, her fingers dancing across her quantum interface. "Fascinating design. Crude, but effective. They're using artificially induced solar flares as weapons." "Add it to the database," Chen replied calmly. "How long until they're in range of Defense Layer 1? "Approximately 6 hours at their current speed," Commander Rodriguez answered. "They're being cautious, running continuous scans, still picking up nothing but our decoy emissions." The Varaxian fleet moved deeper into the solar system, their formation spreading out to envelop any possible escape routes. Standard protocol for dealing with primitive worlds. Ensure no civilian ships could flee to warn other systems. On the Imperial Might, Fleet Commander Zareth approached Admiral Kextar with a troubled expression. "Sir, something strange about their orbital satellites." "Explain," Kextar demanded, his head crest rippling with mild irritation. "They're too perfect in their primitiveness. Every reading we get is exactly what we'd expect from a Tier 7 civilization. No variations, no anomalies, no signs of experimental technology or failed attempts at advancement. It's as if. As if what, Commander? As if they're following a script, sir. As if everything we're seeing is exactly what we're meant to see." Back in the Mountain Command Center, Chen watched this exchange through their surveillance systems. "They're starting to suspect something's not right," she noted. "Time to give them their first hint." "Dr. Patel, initiate protocol whisper." Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden quantum network made microscopic adjustments. Tiny gravitational anomalies, split-second energy spikes, brief flickers in space-time, all carefully calculated to be just at the edge of Varaxian sensor capability. On the Imperial Might's bridge, Sensor operators began reporting the anomalies. Kextar dismissed their concerns with growing irritation. "Solar wind interference," he declared. "Nothing more. Continue approach." The fleet passed Mars, their sensors showing exactly what humanity wanted them to see. A few small research stations, primitive mining operations, nothing that could pose any threat to their mighty armada. "Director," Lieutenant Wong called out, "they're launching their preliminary bombardment drones. Standard pattern. They'll use them to test our defensive capabilities." Chen nodded. "Let them through our outer defensive layers. Show them exactly what they expect to see. Primitive missile defense systems, basic energy shields. Make them work for it, but fail exactly as a Tier 7 civilization should." The drones encountered Earth's apparent defensive screen, a network of satellites and energy barriers that seemed impressive for a primitive civilization, but laughably inadequate by Varaxian standards. The drones easily penetrated these defenses, sending back data that confirmed the Empire's assessment of Earth's capabilities. Admiral Kextar allowed himself a satisfied smile. "Prepare the standard surrender broadcast. Give them 1 hour to submit to Imperial rule before we begin the demonstration bombardment." The message was transmitted in all Earth languages, the Varaxian AI doing an admirable job of translation. Throughout Earth's surface cities, now populated entirely by sophisticated holographic projections, the message played on every communication device. In the command center, Chen listened to the ultimatum with an almost predatory smile. "They're right where we want them. Initiate protocol revelation. It's time to show them what humanity is really capable of." Throughout the solar system, hidden quantum generators began powering up. Dimensional pockets prepared to open. Gravity manipulation fields came online, all of it invisible to Varaxian sensors, all of it far beyond their technological understanding. "Send our response," Chen ordered. A single message was transmitted to the Varaxian fleet, broadcast on their own command frequencies, bypassing their most sophisticated encryption as if it didn't exist. "Thank you for participating in humanity's first contact evaluation protocol. Your performance has been noted. Prepare for demonstration of actual human technological capabilities." Before the Varaxians could process this unexpected response, space itself began to change around their fleet. The trap was about to spring, and the true face of human technology was about to be revealed. Paradigm shift. The first sign that something was terribly wrong came when the Imperial Might sensors simply stopped working. Not damaged or jammed, they just couldn't detect anything beyond the ship's hull. It was as if space itself had ceased to exist beyond their immediate vicinity. "What's happening?" Admiral Kextar demanded, his commanding voice tinged with the first hints of uncertainty. "Get our sensors back online." "Sir," Fleet Commander Zareth reported, her scales pale with shock. "It's not just our sensors. We're getting reports from across the fleet. Ships are disappearing." Through the viewport, Kextar watched in disbelief as segments of his mighty fleet simply vanished, leaving behind perfectly empty space. No explosions, no debris, no energy signatures. They were simply gone, as if they had never existed. In Earth's Mountain Command Center, Director Chen watched the Varaxians' confusion with cold satisfaction. "Status of quantum containment operations?" she asked. "Perfect, Director," Dr. Paddle replied. "Each ship is being cleanly transferred to its own pocket universe. Crews are completely unharmed but totally isolated. We can return them whenever we choose." The quantum generators hummed silently as they worked, creating hundreds of microscopic universe bubbles, each containing a Varaxian vessel in perfect suspension. It was technology so advanced it would appear as magic to their sensors, if those sensors could even detect it. "Sir," a Varaxian sensor operator cried out, "we're detecting something. Energy readings unlike anything in our database. They're everywhere, surrounding the entire fleet." Through the Imperial Might's viewports, points of light began to appear, thousands of them, each no larger than a marble. They looked almost beautiful, like a field of stars brought impossibly close. "What are they?" Kekstar whispered, his earlier confidence completely evaporated. The answer came in the form of Director Chen's voice, broadcasting effortlessly through the Varaxian's most secure communications channels. "Those are quantum anchor points, Admiral Kekstar. Each one is a doorway to an artificially created pocket universe. Would you like a demonstration?" Before Kekstar could respond, one of the points of light flared briefly. A nearby heavy cruiser, pride of the Imperial fleet, capable of reducing continents to ash, simply ceased to exist. "Your vessel and its crew are perfectly safe," Chen's voice continued, calm and professional. "They've been transferred to a contained universe of our creation. We can return them at any time." That was just one anchor point. "As you can see, we have thousands." The Varaxian bridge crew watched in horror as more ships began to vanish, picked off with surgical precision. Their most powerful weapons were useless. Energy beams passed harmlessly through the points of light. Torpedoes disappeared into them without effect. "Impossible," Zareth breathed. "This level of technology, they can't be primitive. They've been hiding their true capabilities all along." "A correct assessment, Commander," Chen's voice replied. "For centuries, humanity has watched the galaxy, studied its civilizations, and prepared. Your empire's pattern of conquest made you predictable. Every scan you made, every probe you launched, showed you exactly what we wanted you to see." In the command center, Chen nodded to Dr. Patel. "Show them what else we can do." Space itself seemed to ripple around the remaining Varaxian ships. Gravity began to twist and fold in impossible ways. Ships that tried to flee found themselves moving in circles, their most advanced navigation systems unable to make sense of the altered physics around them. "This is just a small demonstration of our capabilities," Chen continued. "We could have simply destroyed your fleet, but that would be wasteful. Instead, consider this an education. Your empire is not as advanced as you believed, and the galaxy is not as simple as you thought." Admiral Kekstar, watching the last of his fleet disappear into the quantum anchor points, finally found his voice. "What do you want?" "Want?" Chen's tone carried a hint of amusement. "We want you to understand. Your empire has conquered countless worlds, believing itself the pinnacle of technological achievement. Today that belief ends. When we return your fleet, and we will return it, you will carry a message back to your emperor. Earth is not to be trifled with." The quantum anchor points began to pulse with increasing intensity, their light forming complex geometric patterns in space. The remaining Varaxian ships, including the Imperial Might, found themselves being gently but inexorably drawn into these patterns. "This conversation is over," Chen declared. "When you wake up, you'll be back in your own territory. Consider carefully what you've learned here today." The last thing Admiral Kekstar saw before his ship was enveloped in quantum light was Earth, hanging serenely in space, looking exactly as it had before, peaceful, primitive, perfect in its deception. Then reality itself seemed to fold, and the mighty Varaxian fleet vanished from Earth's space, their lesson in humility complete. New dawn. 1 month after the Varaxian fleet's abrupt departure, Director Chen stood before the United Earth Council in the restored surface chamber in Geneva. The holographic displays showed the rippling effects of humanity's revelation across the galaxy, the Varaxian Empire's military movements, diplomatic chaos, and the shifting alliances of 100 species coming to terms with a new reality. "The Varaxians have withdrawn all military forces to within 50 light-years of their core systems," she reported, gesturing to the strategic display. "Our quantum observation network confirms they're completely restructuring their military doctrine. The age of casual conquest is over." Council President Okoro leaned forward, his aged face reflecting both satisfaction and concern. "And the other spacefaring civilizations, how are they reacting to our emergence?" Chen activated another hologram, showing diplomatic communications intercepted from across the galaxy. Exactly as predicted. The smaller powers are reaching out through various channels, seeking alliances. The larger ones are reassessing their own positions. None of them want to risk discovering they've also underestimated humanity. In the Varaxian Empire's capital, similar discussions were taking place. Admiral Kextar stood before the Imperial Council, his once proud stance now humble as he completed his report on the Earth encounter. Their technology defies our understanding, he concluded. They don't just have better ships or weapons. They appear to operate on principles our science hasn't even discovered yet. The ability to create and manipulate pocket universes at will. It changes everything we thought we knew about physics itself. The Emperor, his scales dulled with age and wisdom, nodded slowly. And you believe they could have destroyed our fleet at any time? Without question, Your Majesty. They chose to demonstrate their power without causing casualties. The message was clear. They are so far beyond us technologically that they don't even see us as a threat worth eliminating. Back on Earth, humanity's hidden facilities were slowly being revealed, not to show off, but to prepare for the new role Earth would play in galactic politics. The massive quantum engineering complexes on Mars emerged from their dimensional pockets. The Jupiter shipyards became visible to conventional sensors. Earth's true face was finally showing, but carefully, methodically, just like everything else humanity did. Director Dr. Patel called out during one of their daily briefings, "We're detecting interesting patterns in galactic communications. Several advanced civilizations are beginning to reveal technologies they've been hiding. It seems we're not the only ones who chose to appear less capable than we are." Chen smiled. Good. It's time for the galaxy's real technological renaissance to begin. When species don't have to fear conquest, they can focus on advancement. The Quantum Observation Network was picking up fascinating developments. The Varaxian Empire, humbled but not destroyed, was already adapting. Their scientists were poring over every scrap of data from their encounter with Earth, trying to understand even the basic principles behind humanity's technology. They're resilient, Commander Rodriguez noted, watching the Varaxian research efforts. They're not just running away. They're trying to learn, to advance. That's why we let them keep their sensor data, Chen replied. The principles behind quantum manipulation and dimensional engineering are there in their readings, if they're clever enough to decode them. We're giving them a chance to evolve beyond their conquest mentality. In the following weeks, the first official diplomatic contacts began. The holographic envoys from various civilizations were received in Earth's Grand Reception Hall, itself a masterpiece of quantum engineering, existing simultaneously in multiple dimensional spaces to accommodate the different environmental needs of each species. The Varaxian ambassador, once he arrived, was noticeably humbler than the standard imperial envoy. The Empire had learned its lesson well. Their first official communication was not a demand or a threat, but a request for cultural and scientific exchange. "We've monitored the changes in their military," Rodriguez reported during one session. "They're dismantling their conquest fleets, converting them to exploration and defense forces. The demonstration worked better than we hoped." Chen nodded, watching the galaxy's political landscape continue to shift and evolve. Humanity hid in plain sight for centuries, watching and learning. Now it's time for Phase 2, helping guide the galaxy toward a more cooperative future. The quantum anchor points that had so terrified the Varaxian fleet were being adapted for peaceful purposes, creating safe spaces for diplomatic meetings, facilitating faster-than-light communication, enabling trade between previously incompatible environments. "It's a new age," Chen mused, standing at her favorite observation point in the Himalayan facility. "We stepped out of the shadows not to dominate, but to innovate." The galaxy was stagnating under the old empire system. Now, with the threat of conquest removed, species can focus on advancement rather than defense. Earth's revelation had changed the fundamental dynamics of galactic civilization. The age of empires was ending, replaced by something new. An era where technological advancement would be driven not by military necessity, but by the pure human drive to explore, understand, and improve. The stars themselves seem brighter now, as humanity finally took its true place among them, not as conquerors or subjects, but as guardians of a new dawn in galactic civilization.